Mm. Hello? Okay, no one judged me that I still have on the same shirt I had on yesterday. It's just the way that it is. So I don't need to hear any ifs, ands, buts from y'all. So let's see. I had soccer tonight and I had the food fair at the Methodist church, which was very good. Do you ever go to food fairs? So you go and buy a bunch of food that people have cooked because they're raising money for something. So I came home with a sour cream pound cake. I totally forgot I was supposed to start my diet today, or my Optavia, whatever. And my son Thomas was like, "Mom, aren't you doing that stuff?" I was like, "Oh my God, I just ate 2 pieces of pound cake, some baked spaghetti, jambalaya, pimento cheese, a bite of pumpkin bread. What else? Oh, terrible. I mean, I have terrible judgment." So earlier this week, I got an email from a mom in Wilmington, North Carolina, New Hanover County. And now, New Hanover County is oftentimes on our radar because that's home of Coastal Prep, the infamous charter school. You know, the one that had the lowest growth of any brick and mortar elementary school in the entire state, a charter school, even though they serve less than 5% kids from poverty homes. Not good. So anyway, this is not about Coastal Prep. And it's not even particularly about the school, Parsley Elementary, because Parsley Elementary is a very good school. But it is about some things with New Hanover County and some things that have been happening at Parsley Elementary. Now, let me just do a disclaimer here. So Amos, we have been applying for a service dog for Amos since February or March, and we have a home visit scheduled in November. We're super excited to see if we get approved so Amos can have a service dog. And some of y'all might say, what the hell does he need a service dog? That's an emotional support dog. No, it's a service dog. So a dog, in order to be a service dog, has to be properly trained, pass their public access service test, and the dog has to do 3 things for Amos. So one thing it will do for Amos is anchor. So give him kind of pressure when he gets undone. The dog will help him with transitions. The dog will be a motivator, incentive for him. Like one mom was telling me, okay, for my son, if he can walk into school, walk with me and stay on the sidewalk, then the dog gets to go into school with us. But if not, the dog has to stay in the car. So you're using, I love this dog, my friend, and I want to do the right thing because I want to spend time with him. So those are all parts of the way a dog can be a service dog. So not just if somebody's blind or deaf, but if a child has autism or different types of special needs. Now, the law is very clear about service animals. Service animals are covered under the American with Disabilities Act. So if Adrian wants to go to Ruby Tuesdays, so this dog, if we get a dog or if other people have service dogs, oftentimes a parent is the handler, they call it. And so if Amos and I are going to go to Ruby Tuesdays, and the dog goes with us, right? Now, if Amos is at school and I'm out running errands, the dog does not go into business with me because I don't have a service dog for me, right? So that's just the way it is. I can't see the comments. Help. You need to scroll over to the left or right or something, Tammy. So the American with Disabilities Act is very clear. You want to go in a restaurant, you want to go in a plane, you want to go in a hospital. Like moms will say, yeah, we go to Chapel Hill. My child had to have an endoscopy. The dog sits on the bed, waits for him to come back. These are all things that are allowed. I think the only thing a dog is not allowed to do is be in a sterile operating room. So that's the law. Now, New Hanover County has a policy, and it's on their website. I just checked to see if it was still there. And this is interesting. So they have a service dog policy, and I'm going to read it to you. And then we're going to look at how it compares to what the law is. Now, just for a minute, go back with me here to when schools were being desegregated. Do you remember that? So the federal law was children of all races will now go to school together. Well, some states said, no, we're not doing that, right? So do you remember the picture of the cute little girl, African American, going into school, and people were yelling and screaming at her, and there was a police officer there, right? Because by law, she was allowed to go to that school, even though the school system said, no, you're not coming here. So let's just go back to that. I'm not an attorney. I just play one on TV. Ask my supporters. Now, here's the New Hanover policy. So remember what ADA says, and now let's look at the school policy. Now, I'm not an attorney, but this is a quiz. Whose policy trumps whose? Does federal law trump school policy, or does school policy trump federal law? I hope you know the answer. Federal law always wins, which is why Adrian is hoping not to be sued in West Virginia, because the federal law is very clear of what's allowed. Now, New Hanover County. The New Hanover County school system adheres to the Americans with Disabilities Act and state laws permitting the use of service animals by individuals with disabilities. The use of service animals on school grounds will be governed by this policy and procedures developed by the superintendent. Now, the superintendent in New Hanover County is Tim Markley. Now, what's today? Today's Monday. So on Wednesday, Tim Markley will not be there. Tim Markley has been suspended for 4 or 5 Wednesdays because Tim Markley was very naughty, and Clyde Edgerton, who I greatly admire, is one of my favorite authors, lives in Wilmington, and his child goes to a school there, and he was arguing against the Spanish immersion program because sometimes those can be a great way to segregate children. So Adrian does the same thing. I might go into the school and say, hey, what's going on? La, 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 la. Well, the superintendent Tim Markley calls Clyde Edgerton's boss at the university. You can't do that. Yeah, calls his boss. So now Tim Markley has been scolded and has been suspended for 4 or 5 Wednesdays. So he ain't going to be there on Wednesdays. If you want to call him, better call him tomorrow. Now, here is the rest of the New Hanover policy. It's really interesting. I can't read this without laughing. Students must have prior approval before bringing a service animal onto school property. Now, just interject that with patrons at Ruby Tuesdays must have prior approval before bringing their service dog into Ruby Tuesdays. Hello? No. No, 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 no. The student's parent or guardian must submit a request for the use of a service animal to the principal of the student's school of attendance on the form provided. Such a request must identify and describe the need for the service animal in the school setting. The student's parent, legal guardian, must describe the manner in which the service animal will meet the student's particular needs. Individuals requesting the use of a service animal may be required to produce a letter from a physician or other healthcare provider regarding the need for a service animal. Whenever possible, requests for the use of service animals on New Hanover County school property must be made at least 3 weeks prior to the proposed use of the service animal. So, Adrian, you want to go to Ruby Tuesdays and take Amos and your dog. Well, you better call them up 3 weeks ahead of time and get permission. No. Can Ruby Tuesdays ask Adrian why Amos needs a service dog? No, 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 no. Thank you, Harris Walker. So Harris just answered this in a very nice way. ADA prohibits anyone from questioning your disability beyond a doctor's confirmation that one exists. The letter to other parents is intimidation. Yes, so Jane Osborne said some other children may have allergies to dog. Yes, you're right, Jane. Some children might have allergies. But if I go to Ruby Tuesdays and people have allergies there, does that mean I can't go in? No, it doesn't. Now, in the school setting, it is different. But this school, Parsley Elementary, what makes it a little bit interesting is, let's talk about peanut butter, right? Kids have terrible peanut butter allergies. This school allows peanut butter. They allow peanut butter. So peanut butter, which is more harmful to a child that's deathly allergic than a dog, is allowed in the school. So let's just talk about that. Now, Anne Marie says, I think that's what administration is supposed to be. The law is ADA only covers public places. No, public schools are considered public. So ADA does work at public schools. That's already been decided. Okay, here it is. Service animals will not be permitted in the school setting without prior approval. So you run into a couple problems here. One, say a veteran goes to a play at school, right? We have like big plays and grandparents come. You could take your dog, right? You could do that because they can't tell you not to. The peanut allergy thing doesn't fly. We couldn't be told we could even have a peanut-free table back when my son was in school. So what's happened is a parent, an amazingly wonderful parent, child, got a service dog in New Hanover County. And this parent is probably a lot like me. Hey, we're working on getting a service dog. I've had this kind of discussion with my school, and I remember the principal said, is the dog going to like stay at school all the time? Just asking. And I was like, no, I'm the handler. The dog will be with me when I bring Amos to school, when I pick him up, whatever. Great. No problem. So this little person has a service dog. Same group that I'm hoping to get a service dog from. They show up for open house and walk by the principal. And a few minutes later, they're there for early open house. The vice principal comes out and says, no dogs allowed. You don't have permission. No dogs allowed. You ain't having the dog in here. They pointed out, this is ADA. You're allowed to do this. No. So they have to leave. Now, they said we need medical records. This is Rosemary Wheeler, the vice principal. And then Rosemary said, not every person with a disability needs a service dog. What a weird statement to say to a parent, right? Who takes care of the dog's bathroom and hydration needs? So the dog is at school with the handler. So like if I were at school with Amos and the dog, I would be in charge of the dog. But dogs don't stay at school when the parent's not there because the mom is the handler because it's a young child. Now, they file a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights. Talk to the attorney. They do all this stuff. The attorney with the service dog organization says, your policy is out of alignment with federal ADA law. And their response, I think Wayne Bullard maybe said it or somebody else said, well, New Hanover County strictly enforces the policy. You can't enforce a policy that doesn't abide by federal law. You can't. You can't. So then the mom went back to school to get her son's child's medicine, and the nurse had said, come by anytime today. She goes to school, takes the dog with her, and the principal says, you can't have that dog in here. She said, well, I'm here to do this medicine. Dog can't be here. Okay. Go back to, then what did I do? Let's look at page 3 in my notes. Okay. So now the assistant superintendent, Julie Askew, who used to be head of exceptional children, she said, why now? Why do you need the service dog now? What's the urgency? Again, all these questions, you can't ask questions like that. It is against federal law. Access is access. If you are granted access, you have access. So then the school sends out a letter. Now, this letter maybe seems offensive. Maybe seems offensive to me because I'm a special needs mom. But the letter from the school goes out last week or sometime, 9/16. Dear parents, Parsley Elementary School has received a request to allow a service animal in the school. Your child may or may not be within proximity to the service animal. Now, we've received a request for someone to bring a peanut butter sandwich to school. Does that happen? No. If your child has any medical contraindications, is that a word? Contraindication? Or phobias, of which we need to be aware, please let me know as soon as possible. Robin Hamilton, EDD. Phobias. So now, if somebody's child is scared of dogs, what if they're scared of wheelchairs? Are we just not going to let people come in? No. It's like being with Mork and Mindy. I mean, I've just never heard of crap like this. Golly. And this is like, an A school, New Hanover County, so great. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, what the hell? Anyway, yes, it's a word, Carrie said. Well, Carrie, I did not know that word. But remember, I never broke 1,000 on the SAT. Now, I do have quite a few people that pay $5 a month for my videos because we have such a good time. Now, we're not here to talk about that. Okay, so then the parent files a complaint with the superintendent. So then what they do is they talk about the fact that the dog smells and licks people. Which is not true. Now, do you remember what happened in Wilmington? Remember we had Rick Holiday? Ooh, Rick Holiday. He bad. We had that teacher and the abuse of all those kids. There's getting ready to be this huge class action lawsuit against New Hanover schools. So holy cow, they better get their stuff together. So now the school has said the dog can't be in the classroom because a child has an allergy. Now this is true. If you have two special needs children and they both have needs and they might go against each other, right? You have to think. So what's interesting about this is that I talked tonight to the mother of the child with the allergy. And do you know what that mother said? We're fine to have the dog come in the classroom 20 or 30 minutes a day, which is all that it would be at the most, and we'll just make sure he stays on the other side of the classroom. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Yet the school and the principal are saying it is a big deal. It's a big deal. Now, we don't worry about peanut butter, but we're worried about this dog, right? So then I talked to another parent, and this parent, she had a service dog too, and her child used to go to the same school, and she asked the principal, this has been about 3 years ago, she said to the principal, I would like to bring the dog in, service dog, for my child, to his classroom, because I want to let all the other children see like how awesome this dog is for him. And she's talking about all this stuff. And they're like, well, the principal said, no. No. Dr. Hamilton said, no dog for you. I think a video would be better. And because when you're a special needs mom, you got a lot of shit to deal with. Sometimes you can't fight every battle, right? So she sent the video in. So what that shows is, and again, I'm married to an attorney, I'm not one. There's a history of no service dogs at that school. There's a sign out front that said service dogs. Caroline said, Robin is a wonderful human and loved and respected in Wilmington. It makes me sad to hear this. Caroline, I've read all the emails from Robin to the parent, and I don't think Robin created the New Hanover School board policy, but the board policy is in direct violation of the law. You cannot require anyone to tell you 3 weeks in advance when you have a service dog and to request why you need it. It is against federal law. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. There's not. It's nothing against not liking Parsley Elementary. It is New Hanover policy that is illegal. It just is. It is. It is. If it were Ruby Tuesdays or anywhere else, it's the same thing. You cannot do that. You can't. And maybe I'm done in, but a lot of times schools, there's a school in Wilmington recently where the principal, great school, everything's wonderful, and the child with Down syndrome goes to the school and they say, well, if we knew she had Down syndrome, we wouldn't have had her come here. And so the parents were like, no, we want her to stay here. So they stay. What are the 2 questions that you can ask, Carrie? Tell me. So anyway, the school says, we're moving your child out of the school. And the parents said, no, actually, you know what? We're going to sue you and we're moving her out of the school. So they moved her to Forsyth Country Day, paid private tuition, paid for a person to go with her to school. And then the judge came back about a month ago and said, you know what, assholes? You're going to pay them back for that year of private education and that assistant and transportation because that is against federal law. New Hanover's county policy is against federal law. I read the policy. I read all the emails from the principal to the parents. It is in violation of the law. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is. You cannot ask a parent, well, why do you need that dog? Why does your child need that dog? Why do they need it now? So I'm sorry to burst anybody's bubble, but it's illegal. And I think about Amos and having the dog and how great I hope it will be. And a dog from Paws for People, which is the best organization on the planet, to not be allowed into a school in Wilmington where the dogs are being raised is insanity to me. Insanity. So anyway, what service does the dog provide and is required because of disability? It depends, Carrie. It depends what those are the 2 questions. What service does the dog provide and is it required because of a disability? Yeah, thank you. Mark Johnson's from Winston. So I think this is a great chance for the school system to say, hey, maybe we're wrong. Maybe we need to undo our policy and have it go by federal law. And maybe we could take a chance and look at how great dogs are. And yes, we don't want an allergy, but if this parent of the child with the allergy is saying it's okay, I don't really know what our problem is. This isn't a school or Dr. Hamilton issue. This is a county issue. Yes, it is. It's a county issue. So it's important. It's really important. It's easy to cast off people that are lesser in our society. It is. And to say to a parent, your dog can't be in the school, it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. It breaks my heart. Maybe I'm crazy. And I'm sensitive. I have a little boy with special needs, and I'm so excited for him to have a dog. And just want him to have the chance to do well. And so this child, the other parent says, the allergy's fine, it's not a big deal. The dog is not going to be in the classroom. The dog would be in the classroom when I come to school, bring him to school, all that kind of stuff. And then they tell the parent, and again, I've seen this email, well, your child has now been moved to another classroom, to a K2 classroom. The child was repeating 3rd grade. So now They're just going to move the child to a whole new classroom. Now, I'll tell you what, when you go, you might not know this, but when you have a child with special needs, classroom placement is huge. We work years in advance for classroom. Amos is repeating pre-K. I mean, we've been talking about this for years. And so all of a sudden, Amos wants to bring a service dog to school, or I want to pop in and see Amos at school 20 minutes every 2 weeks. And now Amos has to be in a whole different classroom, even though the mother of the child with the allergy said, it's not a big deal to me. The dog can only be there with the handler. That's correct, Jessica. Absolutely. So, yes, New Hanover does have a link for their service dog policy, and they do provide for miniature horses. I mean, miniature horses. Now, I might okay a policy about that. But anyway, the idea of miniature horses. But anyway, so now the child has been moved to a different classroom. No. Does this make sense to anybody? Am I crazy? I feel like I'm crazy. So it feels a little bit like you tattled on me to the superintendent. Now you're going to be in this class. So the parent says, it's okay. No, what you say isn't good enough. We need a letter from your child's allergist. We can't trust you. No. This is crazy. Crazy. Do I keep saying that word like 100 times? It's true. Sounds to me like ain't nobody wants a dog in the school. Some people don't like dogs. My parents don't like dogs, particularly. I mean, they pretend they do, but they don't really. So, anyway, I understand you're the handler, but if I'm correct, most districts do not allow parents in the special ed classrooms. So, Jennifer, I go to Amos's class sometimes if I pick him up early, or when I take Amos to school in the morning. My plan is when he has his dog, I hope, that the dog would walk Amos and I into school. The dog would be an incentive for Amos to not be carried, to put his socks and shoes on, to follow the rules, not run. So the dog would walk with us into the school. So that's not a big deal, right? The dog would walk with us into the school. And a child that has an allergy, whose mother says, this is not a problem, it's not a big deal. Now, what about kids that what if this child someday was able to handle their own dog at school, and there was another child with this pretty severe allergy? I know, like with peanut butter, what most places do is they have a peanut butter free table. They might, like this mom said, if the dog comes into the classroom for 20 or 30 minutes, it's okay. Let's just try to keep him on the other side of the room. I think we have to trust what parents are saying. I think we do. And I think to pit special needs parents against each other is shitty. It really is. And I'm sorry, but if you were scared of a dog, too bad. I mean, I have absolutely, that's like saying I'm scared of people who are Chinese. I mean, no, then get over it. You can't be. I'm absolutely have no sympathy for that. Sorry. Now you know me. My real deal. Dog allergies are not like peanut butter allergies. No, they're not. Peanut butter allergies are more dangerous than dog allergies. Yet there are not all these rules about having peanut butter at the school. So, anyway. Anything else? I know y'all are going to start sending me messages. Well, we love the school. And I mean, I ain't saying nothing bad about the school. I'm just saying, New Hanover County, get your shit together, abide by ADA, and don't make this a big story that's going to wind up on the nightly news tomorrow night. Don't do that to yourself. Just behave. Follow the law. The parent says it's fine. The mother says it'll be 20 to 30 minutes every once in a while. It's fine. Don't have a heart attack. It's fine. Yes. They are demonizing the parent of the child with allergies and using her as a crutch for their own agenda. Anyway, that letter, that letter, to send a letter like that out, and that went from the school, not the district. I just can't tell you how inappropriate that is. Dear parents, Parsley Elementary School has received a request to allow a service animal in the school. Your child may or may not be within proximity. If your child has any medical contradictions or phobias of which we need to be aware, please let me know as soon as possible. You know, you can't do that. It's illegal to do that. It's illegal. Remember last year I shared about the letter, about the school that said, your child is going to be asked to go in the exceptional children's classroom. And if you feel okay about them doing that, let me know. But if you're against that, let us know that too. So if you don't want your kids with Adrian's kid, please tell us, because that's totally your right to refuse that. We don't say that about race. If you don't want your child with anybody from poverty families, just let us know, because we want to keep them separate. You know? You can't do that. This is North Carolina. When the dog bites a kid that teases the dog, who's paying the bill? Oh my God, what, are you a real person? A service dog bites the kid? If you can find a case of a service dog biting a child in an elementary school, I'll send you a Tales of an Educated Debutante hat. They did file an OCR complaint. And the lawyer from the dog organization has spoken to them at length about ADA and their requirements. And the policy has been in place since 2012. I just saw it tonight. Lynn says she's scared of dogs. But Lynn, if you're in a restaurant and somebody comes in with a service dog, do you feel scared? And you also know that you're not allowed to say, like, I'm scared, get the dog out of here. Sandy, you can't ask questions because you're singling out a family by asking questions like that. And they do keep allergies on hand. If a child has a life-threatening allergy, it should be in their plan, and they would have a 504 or an IEP. New Hanover County Schools do their own thing. It's a good old boys network. They think they're above the law. They actually think they write the laws. Did someone say parents aren't allowed in EC classes? I don't know why anybody said that, because that's not true. I think one thing you'll find in the moms that I talked to today, we had this conversation. She was like, I wish that both these moms, the allergy mom, the mom that tried to take the service dog into her son's classroom 3 years ago at the same school where the principal said, no, you can't. And the mom who's dealing with this said, I wish I could go in the classroom. And I was like, yeah, right. I wish you could. I wish I could too. So I can't go visit Amos at school. All the other moms, you have your child and they go to kindergarten. What do? You go eat lunch with them, right? Like, they love for you. I took lunch to my 8th grader today, who was glad to see me because he had left his lunch at home. And I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to go out to school anyway and get a kind of look, see what's going on. I'll take him Wendy's. And he's kind of good to see me, but he's like, bye, see you later. And I'm like, well, no, I was going to sit here for a minute. So then I wait, and for my 6th grader. Well, I might as well have acted like it was like I was butt naked in there. I mean, he was so mortified that I was there. So when you have a kindergartner, my point is, they're thrilled. Mom, come eat lunch with me. Yay, my mom's here. You take some donuts. I can't go eat lunch with Amos. If I show up at school to eat lunch with Amos, you know what Amos says? Get in the car. Amos thinks if I see Mom, then I'm leaving. So I have no way. Like today I was riding by a school and I was like, I just want to stop and see how he's doing. And I can't. Because of him. Because it'll confuse him. So trust me, families like ours, we have enough problems. And if we can find a service dog that will help us make a little bit of the day better, just follow the law. I mean, it's so great that we have laws like this. Just follow the law. Yes, Cody. So Cody has autism. He's an adult. Cody, I'm allowed to eat lunch with Amos. But if I went to eat lunch with Amos, Amos would think I was there to pick him up. So it would confuse Amos. I could confuse him. And yes, the board claims it's against policy and a privacy issue to go in your child's classroom. I've never heard of that. I'm not sure what I think about that. I don't think that's accurate. Anyway, so I'm exhausted. Where are my supporters? Now my supporters and I are going to have a little chit chat about this tomorrow, because everybody's going to have some time to think about it. And I'll get some mean messages. But you know what? I'm sorry. I cannot. If that New Hanover County policy hadn't said that, I would be, and if I hadn't read those emails and that letter sent to all the other parents, Amos is getting ready to get a service dog. If your child has a phobia, let us know. Well, how does that make the parent feel whose child needs the service dog? You know? It's embarrassing. It makes you feel bad. It really does. It makes you feel bad. It would make me feel bad if I knew the whole school got a letter because of something I needed for my son. I don't like that. Anyway, we can do better. We can do better. We can do better. Let go of your own agenda and do what is right. I hope New Hanover counties will do this. I really do. I expect they can do the right thing, and that they will do it quickly. That child should not be moved to another classroom because of an allergy that the child's parents said is fine with the way the dog is going to be used. There's no way the schools knows better than a mother. They don't. Unless there is an agenda not to have a dog. So, that's all. If you want to become a supporter, come on over to the dark side. $5 a month. It's like coffee, but better. It's Adrian on coffee. It's like crack. Without crack. Carry on, people. Be good stewards.